Hey everybody, welcome to another DMVCBN Comic Book Club. I'm your host Freddie, coming to you from Washington, D.C. Today is September 6th, Friday, 2024, and we're here to discuss comics, both new and old, print and digital. And we're live on Zoom every Saturday at 11 a.m. And I want to personally invite everyone who's listening to come join me on a future comic book club meeting. The DMVCBN is not just a podcast, it's a club. It's a place for you to meet new people and talk about what comic book media you're interested in. All right, so let's get started. Today, I'd like to welcome two very special guests from the Threads community. I've got returning to the show, Polly. Can you say hi? All right, and we've also got Joe. Can you say hi, Joe?
Hi, Joe. No, just kidding.
Hey, Joe. No, yeah.
Terrible at hellos.
Yeah, I never know. Like, do people want to say their own name? Do people want to they want me to introduce them? Like,
That's
we're
all
still
good.
figuring this out as we go. But yeah, glad you guys could join me today. We've got a fun topic to discover today. We've been reading a lot of Scarlet Witch in anticipation for the new Agatha All Along show coming out on Disney Plus on September 18th. Plug, plug, plug. But yeah. So Joe, I saw you were reading Scarlet Witch 2015 by James Robinson and various artists. And I was like, I've never read that run. I've got to go back and check it out. So I've been reading along with that too. And Polly, you've already read that run as
I
well,
have
right?
read that, yeah, years ago.
Awesome. All right. So we're just gonna give our quick thoughts, spoiler free. Like we'll give a quick take on, you know, the series and then we'll dig into spoilers a bit, okay? And we'll talk about this like the whole story arc and everything. So, let's start with Joe since you're our new guest today. I want to hear, your thoughts on Scarlet Witch 2015.
Sure. Yeah, I just read it mainly because one, I was just doing some research after I heard like The Witch's Road was going to be an Agatha all along, and just with my YouTube channel, and obviously this is prominent in there. So I just dug through. I had never read a Scarlet Witch comic before. So this was my first one. I think one of the most interesting aspects, as we'll probably discuss, is the fact that there's a different artist on every single issue. So it's very, I don't know what to say right now. It's just like very jarring sometimes when you go from one style to another. However, I really liked it because you get exposure to some different art styles that you may have never have seen before. There's definitely some that I haven't seen. But sometimes too, you're like, oh, if there's one that you don't like, you're just like, this is not, at least it's only for one issue though. It's not, you have to deal with it for an entire run. At least there's that. But there are some very interesting artistic takes on
For
things.
sure. Yeah, it's like lots of pros and cons, right, with having that many different artists.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, I thought the story was interesting. I thought that they did a lot. I know we're not going to go into spoilers just yet, but there's some touching upon Scarlet Witch's history of like who are her parents per se.
Hmm.
So that was pretty interesting, given the fact that it's mainly rooted to be Magneto, for the most part. But yeah,
Yes, yes, we will get into that for sure. All right, so sounds good. Polly, what about you? What's your
Well,
takeaway on the
my
overall
first take,
story? Yeah.
my first take is obviously about art because to me it's more of a showcase of artists than actually a Scarlet Witch story.
Hmm.
Because I remember feeling like when I read this the first time, I remember feeling that it didn't give me. I expected kind of a like Scarlet Witch centric story that would probably describe her character better or like establish a new position for her or something like that. It didn't do that. It mostly went through history, and yeah, it was kind of, it felt like trying to analyze the character, but I don't know if it necessarily came to a point where it did.
Hmm. That's fair. That's fair. Like, I mean, I will say that, you know, I'm actually surprised that I never read this run until now because I've read a lot of Scarlet Witch over my time. Like, and specifically, I've read a lot of stories where she's trying to make up for everything that happened under Brian
All
Michael
the time.
Bendis. Like, remember with Avengers Disassembled and the House of M, like, she was doing too much back then. And then,
And then House of X, even all the way to Krakoa, she's still trying to undo what she's done.
right. But even before that, we had like from all the way back to New Avengers and then Children's Crusade and, Uncanny X-Men, like the Trial of Magneto, like all these storylines she's had, like over and over, she's trying to get redemption for what she's done, or she's trying to uh, make up for it. And I think, that's admirable. And it just kind of gets a little bit old. Like, will she ever make up for it? I don't know. But
As long as she's not a mutant, I don't think she will.
so
I
that's
think we should just make a mutant again.
make Wanda a mutant again. I'm gonna get a red hat to add to my red shirt. So, but basically, I think I love Wanda. I mean, she's had a lot of interesting stories. This one, interestingly, like you said, Joe, takes place at a time where she's not necessarily, Magneto's daughter, but we do dive into her origins. And so I definitely want to just recommend this to everyone. If you haven't read it yet, go read it, press pause, and then come back and we'll join the discussion. So I'm just going to
Like
give
15 issues.
Right,
Yeah.
only 15 issues. There was a little like Doctor Strange storyline that was like in the collection. Have you guys heard about that? Did you read that?
Oh, I think, yeah, I remember that. I don't remember that I read it.
I
Here,
did
so I'm
not.
So
gonna pull
long
up.
ago.
No worries. Like, so basically, here is the cover of the complete collection by James Robinson, with the cover by David Asia, and we got to talk about these David Asia covers. They're all amazing. Like, I'm a big fan of him. What do you guys think of those covers?
I think I don't remember who did the redesign of her costume, but I remember that this is one of my favorite Scarlet Witch costumes.
Yeah, I think it might have been Kevin Wada or
I think
Chris
it's,
Anka.
yeah,
One of the two. They were both doing
or
variants at that time.
damn, I remember that also Jamal Campbell drew a cover for this. It was a variant cover here in this book, which is fantastic.
Yeah. What do you think of this costume for Wanda? Like, I kind of like the detail on her
That
crown.
corset and like the crown.
Yeah, and of course you gotta have a cape. But do you like a shorter cape or a long cape?
I don't know. It looks good. I would totally wear it.
Yeah.
Could be a
it-
great Halloween costume.
Yeah, all the covers look amazing on all of these issues. Just like looking back right now, I'm like looking at all 15 of them. No variants, but just like looking at them all smaller like thumbnails. Like you see like number 6 has a bunch like just like mirrored images of Wanda.
Oh my gosh, I love that one. Yeah, I'll try to
It's pretty
share that
good.
one as well.
But I think like someone had mentioned that like her costume was a little bit more um kind of like more heritage based, kind of like Scarlet Witch is supposed to be versus the Americanized
Yeah,
version.
like basically this series was, I think, one of the first to really dig into her Romani heritage.
Yeah.
At least as far as I know. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, here's the cover you're talking about. I was really stunned by just like the mirror images and like the yin yang kind of like silhouette. I don't even know how to describe it. I'm trying to like,
The more
I
that
don't
I
know
look
how.
at it, it's like almost like ink blot esque. I'm like kind of getting lost slash mesmerized between the white and the
Yeah,
black. I'm just like, what is happening?
and even the red of her crown just like fits so perfectly. I'm like, how did he come up with this? This is very artistic. Like,
Well, you go to an art school, and
yeah, but
then
like,
boom.
but yeah, I'm just saying, not every Marvel artist draws covers like this.
Oh yeah. Well, still two of my favorite ones are by Jamal Campbell and Kevin Wada, because just Kevin Wada is one of my favorite artists in general. Absolutely fantastic, fashionable looking covers every time.
Oh yeah. All right. So I'm gonna give a quick summary of what happened in these 15 issues, and then we'll go into spoilers. This collection has also been divided into three different um, trade paperbacks. You've got The Witch's Road, you've got World of Witchcraft, and lastly, The Final Hex. So, um, in this volume of Scarlet Witch, this is volume number 2. Scarlet Witch had a 4-issue miniseries in 1994, and then this was her first ongoing title. Um, so in this story, witchcraft is broken, and the Scarlet Witch must embark on a globe-trotting journey to fix it. From Manhattan's back alleys to the Greek Isles to the Irish countryside, Wanda Maximoff faces myths and legends, combats curses, and discovers there's more to her complex family history than she knew. But will the powerful mage called the Emerald Warlock be a friend or foe? And even as witchcraft is pieced back together, Wanda must discover who shattered it in the first place. The Scarlet Witch will aid broken-hearted hero Le Peregrine and seek help from the witch the Wu, but things won't be easy when she encounters her brother Pietro. The Witch's Road is long and full of dangers. So again, this is by James Robinson. I don't know. Have you guys read any James Robinson before?
Ooh, that's a
I don't
good
know if I
question.
have.
I have no idea. I need to like take a look.
Oh, both of you might be interested in
Robinson.
his run on Fantastic Four. It's
Okay.
very notable.
Uh,
It's very notable. It's around the same time, I think, but it's notable because they have red costumes, red and black costumes, kind of like Scarlet Witch.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like it's the only time in their history where they're wearing red. Um, and other than that, it has some interesting story going on too. But he's got a lot of notable writing. I think he's very famous for Starman. I've never read that one
I think
though.
he's like very famous for a lot of DC stories.
Yeah, lots of DC stuff. All right, so it's interesting to see him taking on the Scarlet Witch. Um, yeah, let's get into spoilers. Do you guys want to kind of take it
Want
issue by issue,
something?
or do you want to just kind of like speak off the cuff?
Um, I don't know. I'm good with random structure,
Yeah,
but I
yeah, yeah.
will do my input on art on every issue because
Mhm.
art is my favorite part of this book.
Yeah, we can go just kind of off the cuff. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, like let's talk about the plot. Like I love how instantly we have it starts out in New York. Wanda's kind of doing her own thing. She's investigating a demon, and she is. It's basically like a crime procedural, right? Like she ends up having to do an exorcism, and and then she goes on a world tour. So what do you think of that initial setup?
I didn't mind it. I thought after the first few issues, I was wondering, I was like, where are we getting with all these like different places? It just seems like so random. But then you kind of learn that Emerald Warlock is getting all of his past people taken care of.
Yeah, like let's talk about Emerald Warlock. Like I
Before you do, I want to add something to the travel aspect of it all because I liked the part where she was in New York and she was investigating her own thing. It kind of reminds me of like Angel and the show, which is cool. And I would read more about that. Definitely would read more of that setup. But it's also cool when she embarks on a journey because it's different but fun different. So yeah, let's get back to the Emerald Warlock.
well, I mean, I definitely want to talk more about that world tour, but yeah, on as far as the Emerald Warlock, I was just saying that I don't know if he has ever appeared before this series. I think he might be an original character by James Robinson. So um, I think there have been teases that they're going to kind of use this stuff in Agatha all along. You got, instead of the Emerald Warlock, is it going to be the Emerald Witch? Is that right?
Supposedly, they're just saying that Aubrey Plaza is the MCU's first Green Witch, with the possibility of it being like a gender flipped role.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot of like Witches Road imagery. Um, I'm very intrigued to see how this all goes because I mean it might be different from the comic books. I'm okay with that, but it's just kind of interesting how they're kind of borrowing more Scarlet Witchy things and kind of putting it
Well,
around
yeah, I don't think
Agatha.
that there's much Agatha. Mostly Agatha's along in Fantastic Four from the little that I've read with her in it. And then she joins in with Wanda in some Avengers stuff, right? And then that's mainly where she is. Not to say that she doesn't have kind of her own like story arcs, but they're mainly, I think, either focused in Avengers or Fantastic Four for the most part.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
Always as a supporting character.
yeah, pretty
Hmm.
much mainly supporting character. And then Emerald Warlock, just to go back, I think was in Avengers, one of the Avengers,
No,
like
the first appearance is in this run,
in this.
and
Oh, it
then
is.
yeah, then
Okay.
maybe yeah. Google it.
And honestly, the way it ended, I was kind of wondering, uh, has he ever appeared since? Like, I
I don't
haven't
think
really
so.
seen him. Like, I
No,
feel
no.
like he needs to come back and like, basically, guys, did it feel like they were setting up a whole rainbow corps of magicians, like the Green Lanterns? Like, you got Scarlet Witch, you got Emerald Warlock, you've got what was it? Senor
Green
Violetta,
Goblin.
not the
Wait, a
Green
Doom.
Goblin.
What about Doom? Doctor Strange.
Well, I
Doctor
mean,
Strange
yeah,
is like blue or red or what?
like I think towards the end, even James Robinson is kind of like calling it out. He's like, "What's up with all these different magicians who use colors in their name? Like, oh, and we don't even use basic colors like red and green. We use scarlet and emerald. Like, it's a whole. It could become a whole thing, and I'm not sure why, but I think it's kind of cool though.
It seems to be going that
It's
way. At least the
definitely fun.
MCU's taking it that way for sure. Like Agatha's purple,
Yeah.
obviously Scarlet Witch is red.
Well,
We're
I
gonna have
think the
green.
point is to like have them recognizable
Right. Yeah, yeah.
when you have like a movie or something.
Which makes
Yeah,
sense, right? Like it
yeah.
can probably get pretty confusing. I would also think that I don't know if it's been delineated that there's like specific power sets or specific things to or with a color per se. But it'll be interesting to see too, because now she has all these other witches if they have colors associated with them.
Yeah, and it's the Power Rangersification of the of Scarlet Witch.
I'm not
Um,
sure that the whole system of magic in Marvel and the MCU is so advanced enough for them to have like specific powers attached to specific colors. But it would be interesting.
Yeah.
so let's talk a little bit about the the country she visited. Okay, so I'll try to list them. Wish me luck. Okay, so we've got Greece, we've got um, Ireland, we've got uh, Japan, we've got um, Spain,
Nice.
we've got did she go to China? I think she did.
I think yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then
France.
France.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm probably missing some, but also I want to shout out that when she starts to investigate her origins, she travels to Serbia.
Yeah.
Holly, like, what do you think of that?
I well, obviously because I read it a long time ago, I didn't think anything of that back then. And now I find it very fun.
Yeah, like there's not a lot of representation coming from Serbia as far
Well,
as Marvel
yeah,
Comics, as
and
far as I
besides, I've
know.
never seen or heard her speak Serbian. I need probably to revisit that issue in particular to make sure that they got everything right.
Yeah, like they always talk about Mount Wundagore, but
Yeah,
I
it's somewhere
never.
here. I mean, it's closer to Latveria, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, like it's it's kind of like Wakanda, that fictional spot in the middle of like the real world.
Yeah.
So cool. Um, yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit more about those origins, if you don't mind, because I'm very intrigued by all of it. Like, first of all, um, she's solving all these mysteries, like almost a different mystery every issue. But then, and you've got Agatha as her companion, as her ghost. Like, why is Agatha a ghost? I don't know. Do you guys know?
She died.
I think she was killed.
But
She was
when
killed
though?
in one of the like
That happens.
in like the New Salem stuff, something along those lines. I don't know exactly, but yeah, she was killed.
Yeah, I mean,
Actually, it was in Wanda and Vision. It was like a series, I think. Like she was killed in like the first or second issue. However, I think she comes back. I don't know. You know how
no,
it
yeah,
goes.
I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
shouldn't be
I think
surprised.
she's back now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
she's definitely back now. She's like
everyone
young.
always
She's not
dies and comes
old.
back. Yeah, yeah, all the time. So, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But it's kind of interesting. I like her haircut.
I just love the
Uh,
catty nature between her and Wanda. It's fun.
oh yeah. Um, they're always taking little barbs at each other, having their little jokes. So Agatha is kind of giving her a little bit of guidance, throughout her mysteries, and then I guess you could say she ends up discovering, you know, who her mother is on the Witch's Road. Like it's unmistakable. She looks exactly like Wanda. She's a Scarlet Witch, the same costume, same everything. So then Scarlet Witch, she keeps trying to chase down leads of like how she can talk to her mother some more, find out more about her mother. And that's an interesting question because, if you're familiar with the Scarlet Witch's origin, she's got very many different origin stories. We don't really know at any given point what is the truth. But you might hear about the Maximoff family. That's her last name. So usually that's involved. You got Django Maximoff and Nari. Is it Naria Maximoff? I think I think those were their names.
I'm getting schooled right now, so you say whatever you want, and I'll do
Okay.
it.
I'm just trying to like see if I remember these things. So basically, um, those are the people who raised her. But we find out in this story that Django Maximoff had a sister who is Natalia Maximoff. Forgive me if I'm getting these things wrong.
Yeah,
Someone
that
correct me in the
Django
comments.
and Maria.
And then, and so then, the, Natalia gave her brother and her and his wife baby Wanda and Pietro to raise, but then they were hated, for being Romani, and then their home was set on fire, and then I guess that's when Magneto saved them and recruited them for the Brotherhood. Um,
Something like that.
so we're completely skipping over everything that had to do with when her dad was the wizard, right? Because that doesn't make any sense. Um,
And with that many retcons, I don't know. I'm kind of still used to seeing her as one of the like less favorite kids of Magneto, because he has one favorite child, obviously, and two, which is weird. Like again, they probably shouldn't have undone that family connection, because now it feels like Magneto had two adopted children and one biological child, and he loved the biological child, but the adopted children he treated like garbage.
yeah, that's
Again.
kind of an unfortunate kind of like subtext now that you got this status quo. But I will say though that this story, the way that we learn more about Wanda's mom, and we still don't know anything about her father, like it raises the question. I'm like, is Magneto her dad? Like,
That's what
when
Yes,
they
did
like.
this
yes.
They
happen?
even do that, like in the end, like when she's fighting her past demons or whatever is happening, right? She's like, they literally ask that question and then it's never answered. It's just like
Yeah,
left to
so
open interpretation.
Well, they were
so
waiting for the deal to finalize with Fox.
Yeah.
right. So we still have that hope, fingers crossed, because like as X-Men Evolution fans, I think we're particularly inclined to think of them as a family. Magneto, Pietro, and Wanda, and Polaris whenever she's around. Um,
It's always
but
around. Come on.
well, she wasn't in X-Men Evolution is all.
She's
But
the favorite child. She was in college.
oh, she's the older
She's in
sibling
college.
there, huh?
She's the only one he was willing to pay for college for.
Yeah, that sounds like Magneto. But not at the Xavier Institute though.
No.
Anywhere else. So yeah, I mean, what was your favorite location that she went to in this
Oof.
arc?
One of my favorite issues is the Paris issue. It's book number 6, like issue 6 by Marguerite Savage, the artist. Because it's wow, I just love the art in that book because it's very Art Nouveau, and like every little aspect from like those wave curves to the outline, like the page layout, even that is done in style, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Plus, like the colors, the pastel colors. Oh my God,
Mhm.
it's fantastic. And of course, it actually works really well with the story because the whole story is kind of like this romantic fantasy. So yeah, it works very, very well.
Agreed. Yeah, that was a beautiful issue,
And then there is the Greek one. Sorry, there is the Greek issue that looks pretty much like a travel book. If there was something in the comics that could sell you a trip to Greece, it's that book. It's art by let me see, Marco Rudy.
Marco Rudy. Yeah, like that was my
Yeah.
favorite issue actually. I really enjoyed just like the painterly aesthetic and like just like the interesting panel
Kind of like looks a little bit like oil.
yeah, or like and then like some of the compositions, the panels were like a maze or something like around
Yeah, like a labyrinth, and you obviously
Mhm.
think of like Minotaur.
Yeah, so you got the Minotaur who turns out to
Yeah.
be a Marvel villain. Like that was kind of an interesting way to tie in the mythology to the Marvel lore. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
definitely one of my favorites. What about you, Joe? What was your favorite issue or setting that she did?
I'm like going through like trying to recall right now. I have like terrible memories of
That's all right.
things.
Terrible memories.
I want to say it has nothing to do with the art, although I don't think it was bad if I recall, but it's the one where she is in Ireland and she ends up
Mm.
meeting Emerald Warlock for the first time.
Okay. Before you start talking about Javier Pulido, let me tell you something. He's actually great.
Wait, Javier Pulido. I think he did the
Yeah.
the
He
Spain
did the
one
Irish
or the
issue.
France one.
I think he did the Irish issue, no?
No, that was Steve Dillon on the Irish issue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Then we good. Then we good.
Yeah. No,
Because
I
I will not hear any trash talk about Javier Pulido.
oh no,
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 I love
no,
Javier Pulido.
no trash talk. I just thought that one, just to go away from my original point, like talking about that Spanish issue, I thought the art was just like so interesting because one, you never see that style really in comic books. Two, it is very like I guess like when you think about like historical like Spanish kind of like style of art, like when you see it in like museums, like that's where like my first like thought is like that style is like you see it in museums and that kind of art style. But it wasn't bad. It
It's
was definitely just like a different take on something that you're not used to seeing.
Yeah, if I can just add to that, yeah, Javier Pulido and Marcos Martin, like they have a similar art style, and I highly recommend all of the books that they've done for Marvel because they're all
Yeah.
great.
Pulido specifically, like every time he does movements, he does such great composition. Like it's one of the best artists who like work with composition. They just fantastic. And the way he does movement and facial expressions is also very impressive.
Yeah.
Agreed. But
Like going back to like the Irish issue where they first
Yeah,
meet
which one
Emerald
is that?
Warlock. I think it's
I think that's number 4. Is that
4.
right?
Yeah, I'm almost positive it's 4. I just, for whatever reason, to me, like I love when they do dialogue in like the accent because that's like all how I read it in my head. And I'm still like the whole time just like hearing this Irish accent, although I can't do it personally very well. but that's what I'm reading, and I don't know why. I just love it. It's so good.
I'm sorry, it was mostly number 3, and then it was a
Okay,
bit of issue 4, like at the end.
gotcha.
So I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of Steve Dillon, but I do give him credit because, like, the storytelling was good. Like, like, um, like you could really kind of see how there was a curse on Dublin, and like the land just looked dry and scary and terrible, and all the people's facial expressions, they were kind of creepy or serious. Like, it definitely had a different vibe. Like, each of these artists had a different vibe, and I kind
Yeah.
of appreciate that. But one thing I do want to ask you guys, because I feel like this is a big uh concern for a lot of Scarlet Witch fans. Like, sometimes she's depicted one way and sometimes she's depicted another way. Um, for example, I think this book was probably one of the first times where she's starting to have more of a darker skin tone. And then also, sometimes her hair is straight and sometimes her hair is kind of curly. And
And then in the movies, it's whatever.
yeah, so I feel like, do these things matter to Scarlet Witch fans, or is it like, or is it part of
Uh,
her heritage, or is it like something that
Not a
is up to
Scarlet Witch
interpretation?
fan, but like she's not my absolute favorite character. I wouldn't go to like battle for her. But I think that it's very important because first of all, we have a lot of Romani or like characters who are descendants of Romani or like specifically Romani, but we never see it properly depicted. And which is worse, we never see actors cast in this role, like appropriate actors. So yeah, I think that all of her things that tie her to her origin and to her people, they really matter.
Yeah, well said. I that's a good point because, um, like I said, with the casting of the MCU, they kind of ignored her Romani heritage, and that
Yeah.
that that has been noticed by, a subset of the fan base. But then now we have the casting of Robert Downey Jr. as
Again.
Doom again, so it does kind of feel like they're really not even trying. Whereas they did make an effort with like the casting of Echo or the casting of Ms. Marvel. So it's like, why is it
I
so
mean, it
selective?
is closer to home for them, I think, like for America in general, but I mean, somehow Balkan Romani always end up ignored. That's not a great trend because like there's a lot of Romani people here, and well, it's a very
Yeah,
rich culture too. So
I think I would have liked to see them, make a bigger effort to, have more authentic representation for Romani people. But I do think that this series in particular tried to, dig into her history and depict her, well, she was depicted so many different ways. It was not consistent. I can't give them credit for that. But I will say, at least she was beautiful most of the time. Uh, Joe, you might have a particular artist or panel, I think, that you said, was
Oh, well,
not
there
that
was
great.
one that like there's one that is at the end of issue 14.
let
Um
me guess, is it Joe Jones? Like,
No, it's not Joel Jones, I don't think. I think it's more of
because
like
no, this is
on the very
Sean,
last.
yeah, Sean Crystal. It was just like a weird
oh weird.
transition of like not consistent. This is like not, it's very like I don't know how else to describe it. Like the whole issue is very poppy with colors, but more not in a bad way, but like
Oh,
childish kind of drawing. Again, not in a bad way. But like you
cartoonish a little bit.
you see her face is one way the entire like issue, and then you get to literally the last panel. It's literally the last panel, and I go, "What?" And she looks like a caricature, like you got like at a carnival or like a fair or something like that, where it's like I'm like, what happened to her face? Literally, what
y-
happened? It's literally a caricature.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
gonna
like
share it on the screen. This is the
It's
final
like what?
panel of the issue.
What is that? Like what?
I
What
mean,
happened?
That's quite a
sometimes
toothy grin.
sometimes artists run out of time, so
Yeah, it definitely looked
Just
rushed.
don't be too
I'm like,
That's
you're gonna
literally what I
end
said.
it.
I was like, he definitely had less, like the deadline was 5 minutes ago and he had to
But
finish the
look at
panel.
the previous pages. They took so much work that I can't even be mad about it because they're so vibrant and they're
Right.
absolutely stunning and they're very creative.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. No, like
but
I
then yeah,
enjoyed the art.
if you want to talk about like the literally the hottest art, then that would be probably Joel Jones. He's
Oh,
like,
Joelle Jones,
whoa,
she's always drawing, lovely women.
absolutely gorgeous.
Yes, beautiful colors and magic. Like, which issue was that?
Which one is this?
Um,
Uh,
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
Joelle Jones did.
oh, nine. It's
Okay,
nine.
9. Oh, was that the Pietro
yeah,
issue?
yeah, it was nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, that was a good one. Yeah.
And
Looking at it.
Yeah. Any other
which
Yeah.
one
favorites?
else? Yeah, of course. Of course. Well, Tula Lotta, I think, like in general, I love her art. I hope I pronounced her name correctly because I've been Googling and I didn't find anything. But like her
Sounds right to
coloring
me.
specifically, I love her coloring because it looks a little bit like pastel work, but I think that she does it digitally. And her work with light is absolutely incredible. It always kind of reminds me of Louis Hoyer. Uh, but at the same and like the erotic part of her art, which I know she does, kind of like reminds me of him, but at the same time, it's very different. It's like something mm, very much her own thing, and it's gorgeous. And for some parts, Scarlet Witch, drawn by her, looks like Faith from Buffy.
Can we talk about that Tula Lote issue, like where she's like meeting with a therapist or a
Oh yeah, yeah.
psychiatrist, and
As
turns
all superheroes should.
yeah, but not when it turns out to be the ringmaster who
Yeah.
hypnotizes you and controls your mind, makes you commit crimes and steal.
That happens too, you know.
That was crazy. No, I loved it. It was like I think it was unexpected. And just the way he wasn't even mad at her when she got him like locked up. because because he
I never met.
because she said that he actually helped her solve her problems and think about what investigate, like, I do want to get into my origins and deal with my mother and all this stuff, so and stand up to my brother, like, I loved how um James Robinson really dealt with the status quo of things, like, because usually so often things will happen and then we never get any follow-up. But here we actually got to see Scarlet Witch talk to her brother and express, I'm sick of years and years of you just like helicopter, uh, big brothering me, because like he's always been kind of bossy
Overprotective.
towards and overprotective to Wanda. So
But
she,
everyone has, because like everyone saw her as this fragile and not very stable person.
yeah, good point. Like, so I love how this series allows her to really kind of step out on her own and take matters into her own hands. And she doesn't need her brother. She doesn't need the Avengers. She doesn't need any mutants. It's all Wanda, and she's making new friends in the magic community. I don't even think we've mentioned Alice Wu, or not Alice. What's her name? Annie
Um,
Wu. Okay,
That's
I had it off the tip of my tongue. But anyway, the Wu, she's a
yeah.
new magician from, I want to say, Tokyo. Um I'm probably getting all these details wrong. I actually did read this book, guys.
Kyoto,
um
Kyoto,
Kyoto.
Kyoto.
That sounds
yeah,
right.
Kyoto.
All right. So basically, that was interesting because the artist was Annie Wu,
Hmm.
and the character, I think her name is Alice.
That's
I think you're
seven,
right.
issue 7. Mm. Also, gorgeous art again.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
There it is.
this book has so much great art, so much interesting storytelling beats. Um, let's see. do you have a favorite moment or feat of
The
magic?
front in this particular issue, I think it's the front page with the fox, which I absolutely think is gorgeous. But in general, I think that the fact that this book really took time to address all the previous events and tie up some loose ends or almost tie them up is it's very good, because so many storylines always get lost. People kind of just forget about them and kind of just start ignoring them, like Zorn. So yeah, it's nice when writers take time, and like this publisher takes time to actually address some of this issue.
Agreed. Yeah. What about you, Joe? Any other standout moments you want to
I don't
bring
know
up?
if anything stands out. I do like now again revisiting all these things is like this issue with the fox and issue like kind of that metaphor the entire time was good in issue 10. But the other one that you're referencing, with whatever her name is, Annie. Did we decide on Annie Wu or the Wu?
Alice.
It is
Alice Wu.
Let me check.
Like that was an interesting story of like her learning kind of like her abilities and, coming to grips with them and who she is and whatnot. I don't know if I have anything that like necessarily stands out per se.
Like it can be a bit
But
of a blur when we're binge reading, right? Like
It is.
I think we did we all read this on Marvel Unlimited?
I did. And it's crazy to see like because you can't, well, you can, but it's usually too small of a screen to like just focus on the whole page. So you're normally going panel by panel or how they break it up, right? And so now when you look
that's why I
back and
read on
like,
a tablet.
yeah,
Right, man. You gotta get a tablet. Like that's why I'm always trying to like read
yeah,
on my tablet because I can't do it on my phone. It's just too small for me.
yeah, yeah, and that's pretty much what I read on because I don't have a tablet basically.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's just like
Which is
when you
now you
see the
know
whole
what you
page
need to do.
sometimes, yeah, yeah, you see the tablet or you see the whole page though now like blown up or how it's supposed to be, and you sometimes you just miss so much of the artistry.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I really feel like some of these, like a lot of comic book art is meant to be seen in the whole page. Although sometimes a lot of the panels are great as
Mm-hmm.
individual, and like, and Marvel does have this, we know about the smart panel mode where you can kind of
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
panel by panel. But I do feel like, you know, I still feel like Marvel hasn't quite made digital work for everybody yet in that sense. Because like you've got not only have you got you know people viewing on smaller screens, people viewing on bigger screens, but you also have these new Infinity comic books which are scrollers. So it's like it's a
It's
whole
so
lot going
weird.
on.
Like
Those are
they
weird, I
don't
feel
work
like.
on tablet at all.
Those are so weird.
Like you see it
Yeah.
for
I feel
hours
I
and the
feel like they're
screen is
so
big.
weird. Like they just don't make
Yeah.
sense to me.
Yeah, it's
The
very
stories are
strange.
good. The stories are
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
the whole process of it,
Yeah.
navigating. But just like in general, I think that for comic books, obviously page layout is very important, because it's kind of like graphic design and magazines, which you use space to tell the story, and it's one of the tools, and it's one of the most important tools probably, because it's the way your eye walks through the page, and the way the story happens and is built, and the way you imagine it. It's like walking through a place and looking everywhere. So yeah, it's very important, which is why I personally don't condone reading in smart mode. Panel by panel, because it just doesn't necessarily, well, first of all, it cuts out half of the work that artists do, and second of all, it's like gives you a completely different feeling. It's like binging. When you binge, you have the story as a whole, but when you read it issue by issue and wait several weeks, you have like these biteable pieces that are easy to bite, but it's not necessarily the story as it's supposed to flow when the writer is thinking it out.
Yeah, and if you don't have a tablet, I do recommend maybe try a laptop or PC because if you
Oh,
can,
no,
you
I
might
do
get a
recommend
bigger.
to never read on a
Really?
laptop. That's how I got this.
Oh well, I mean, I will. Yeah, you do a lot of reading. You gotta be careful. But uh, yeah, for me, bigger the better. Like I try to
Yeah.
get a big tablet like just for reading comic books. Of course I do other things on it, but yeah, it was like I was like if I'm going digital, I might as well just invest in this because
All
it's going to
out.
make the experience better. But speaking of the Infinity comic books, and we can come back to this book if you have any more thoughts about it. But I want to mention the new Infinity comic called House of Harkness. This just came out on August 28th. There's two issues out right now. Um, I think it's by Preeti Shabir and the artist. Um, I hate that they don't put the artist names right on the front of the comic like they do on all the other on the real books. You know,
Hmm.
I don't
The
even know what the
Infinity.
artist name was.
And I don't like that they don't always put it in trade paperbacks.
Hmm.
Do better, Marvel. Do better.
Yeah.
They really do need to do better. But it's uh I did check this out since we're talking about all this stuff. Did you read it, Joe?
Yeah, I read the first two issues. I
Yeah,
liked
like
it. I thought it was different and just besides the fact of like the scrolling vertically, which is just still weird, like from a comic book standpoint is odd. But like I said in one of my threads, it's just like again, they're going back to school, they're like high school aged. It's just, my first initial thought was like X-Men Evolution. It's just like
yeah.
that's what
That's
it was, right? They're at
sold.
an institute of witchcraft at the House of Harkness,
Hmm.
and it's just all witches and wizards, warlocks, whatever, and they're all high school aged.
The
Uh
artist, by the way, is Jody Nishijima, and
Yeah,
Jan
it
Herring
has a
is the
very
colorist.
yeah, like very manga
they
Yeah,
anime-esque
which
style, which is
not
pretty interesting.
necessarily my favorite.
yeah, like you said, it is very much like X-Men Evolution in the sense like everybody is a teenager, whether they should be or not.
Yep.
Um, it kind of reminds me also of like every other time that's happened, like with DC superhero girls, everybody was in high school. Um, like it's also got a Harry Potter vibe. You know, they're
Yeah,
at
a
this
little bit.
magic school.
Yep.
Um, so I
And
mean,
Strange Academy, by the way, did that.
true, Strange Academy. So like it's it's been done before, but it's cute. I mean, also a Sabrina. You know, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Um, so I think for younger readers, particularly, this might be a fun read because it's out of continuity. It's not like you have all the character personalities without any of the baggage. Um,
A
this
quick question: what the like tuxedo mask is going on there? Is that like Loki and Doctor Strange?
Yep.
Yeah, you got
Yep.
Loki and Doctor Strange at
Oh,
the top.
okay.
You've
Yep.
got you've got Jericho Drum, Brother Voodoo, Brother Voodoo, and you even got Nico
Yeah,
Minoru from
Nico. Yep.
Runaways.
Yep.
You've got Damon Hellstrom, son of Satan, and you've got
And his
Morgan Le
sister.
Fay,
Yep.
and his sister
Oh,
Satana
And
is
his
there
sister.
too. Like
Yep.
basically everyone who's magical you can think of is in this story.
Yeah.
And I was
Just about.
dying when Celine showed up as one of the teachers. I was like,
Celine. Yeah. Yeah.
not Celine being a teacher. Like she is scary as hell. Like she would eat all those children and then like suck off their bones. But
oh, it's Demon.
Yeah.
yeah,
She
like
should
it's
like literally not be anywhere. I don't know why she's everywhere and she's around kids all the time.
Yeah. I will
mhm.
just say, not to like spoil anything, not that it's huge, but like in the first issue, Scarlet Witch is being like given a tour, and I did not expect Loki, even though he's on the cover. Like I didn't expect him to show up the way that he did. I
Yeah,
was
he
like,
shows
oh,
up in
okay.
a fun way. And yeah, I mean I think it's a cute little
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. It's something to read.
Yeah.
It sounds
But
like
my biggest
something
issue
to
though, my biggest concern, I hate the overall premise. Like the House of Harkness, I
Yeah.
will spoil it. It's literally the name of the school, and then you find out the school headmaster is not Agatha, it's Hiram Harkness. I'm like, Hiram Harkness, who is this? Like, and then you find out that Agatha Harkness
Mephisto.
is 16 years old. And I'm like, why are they constantly de-aging Agatha? Like, why why can't she be a teacher or the headmaster even? Like it just seems kind of
Because
strange.
she gonna be a baby in like in 5 years. They keep doing this. They keep aging everyone.
Baby Harkness, and uh and little Wanda. But I think I'll go with the flow of it, but it's just so strange to me to see Agatha portrayed as a rival to Wanda versus a mentor or a teacher.
It's interesting that they keep taking that kind of route versus her original kind of role.
All right, so
I'd say that it's very like it's I love when they do that because it's kind of like what DC does with the young adult books, and I love those.
well, I just wish they
Like,
had reversed it. Like let Agatha be the headmaster or headmistress, and then let her son be Hiram Harkness, and maybe Wanda could have
yeah, the
like a
book is
crush on
about
him or something.
Agatha. Or maybe let Wanda be the headmistress and Agatha be the student.
There you go.
How about that?
Like this is the constant struggle of like who gets to be a teenager and who has to be the adult, the teacher that no one is there to read about. Like
Yeah. The
uh
old time question of why does Storm have to babysit like Jean Grey and all the other babies?
exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Like with X-Men Evolution, Storm was always the one who drew the short end of the stick, who had to be the teacher and didn't get to have fun with the rest of the X-Men. Also Wolverine to a degree, but he gets a
But
lot
he's
more
really
solo.
old.
He's always old, yeah, except for when he's a teenager in the Ultimates or whatever.
Uh,
So, not to go too far off from 616 Wanda, is there anything else you guys want to talk about as far as the James Robinson run?
I think that's it enough.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
cool, cool. All right,
We have some great books this week, by the way.
we do. All right, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the other books we're reading. Um, if you guys want to just kind of take a minute and just share a book, or like we don't want to dig too deep into any of these things, but um yeah, does anyone want to go first?
The only thing that I picked up this week was the Ultimates. So,
All
um,
right.
Well, you
Yeah,
didn't pick
Ultimates
up
number
Exceptional
4.
X-Men?
no, the whole wallet issue, monies. But however, I'm thinking of picking up one more X-Men title, and I'm just like, which one should it be? And it's
Which ones
basically,
are you picking? Are you
so I just have X-Men and Uncanny right now,
those
which,
are great. Yeah, I
yeah,
would add Exceptional probably to that.
that's what everyone's been
Yeah.
saying is like,
Yeah,
it's
if
it's a
there
toned
is
down story,
like
but it's really
a
good.
limit, if there is a limit, that would be the book to pick. I
Yeah.
like the first issue is just wow. It's pretty
Yeah.
much on the same level as Uncanny, maybe
Okay.
Yeah.
better.
Like
I might,
I
I
gotta
might
say I've
grab it.
been waiting for Exceptional X-Men.
Yeah, ever
This
since it was been announced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Eve Ewing just finished up a run on Black Panther last year, and that was pretty good. And then for this to be, the first Black woman author to kind of have X-Men ongoing, I'm kind of here for it. Like, I want to see what she's going to bring to the table. Um, but not only that, the story is interesting. Like, the characters are engaging. You've got, I don't know why Emma is like front and center on this cover because she's barely in the book, but
Oh,
I'm sure,
what do you
I'm sure,
know?
I'm sure she'll pop in later.
She probably showed up to the photo shoot and just stood in the middle and nobody could
Right.
say anything. It's Emma.
It's
Exactly.
just Emma stuff.
Like anytime she's around,
She's
she's
like,
gonna serve looks. But um, I do think that I kind of wish they had promoted Kitty on the first main cover because this story is more about Kitty and what she's been up to and how she's dealing with what happened in the fall of X. But also, we're introduced to I think her name is Bronze, like one of the I think that might be her name. She's a new mutant. This is her debut, so you can learn more about her. The other two, I think they're going to save them for future issues.
Yeah.
And there's even a surprise character that I won't spoil right now, but yeah, I think it could be a very intriguing cast.
Wait, which one's surprise?
You want me to spoil it?
I don't remember which one you're talking about.
All right, Joe,
You can
cover
say it,
your
Freddie.
ears.
You could
It's
say it. It's fine.
Iceman.
Oh, nice.
Iceman is showing up. A lot of people have been wondering, like,
Where?
where's Bobby Drake? Oh, you know
Where
what?
did he show up?
You know what happened? This is another QR code page. You probably didn't read it. Like,
Oh, of course I did. Yeah.
yeah, every time we do these reviews, you're like, I didn't read the
Yeah.
QR code. So yeah, you gotta go look it up because Robert Drake shows up. He's going by Robert now. I guess because Emma refers to him as Robert.
Yeah,
So
but Kitty, come on. She goes by Kitty again. I don't
yeah,
know if
and
this is a spoiler, but I loved it because we keep trying to call her Kate or like Catherine or whatever, and it just doesn't work because we're so used to her being Kitty. And she's looks like she's like she has her old costume back, which is the blue one.
yeah, it's like it's a very interesting amalgamation of her costumes because it kind of has the shape of her black and yellow X-Men look, but then it's blue, kind of like her Excalibur look, or like some of her Shadow Cat looks. So I kind of love that. When you got the ponytail, that's pretty signature for her, especially since X-Men Evolution. But I do think that you know, I like how Eve decided to write Kitty and her journey back to being called Kitty because like if you were following the Krakoan era, you know that she started going by Kate, and that was throughout the entire Krakoan era. She became a pirate queen, and it was like all this stuff happened, and she had a lot of character development. So I feel like this issue did a good job of not throwing any of that away, but rather transitioning it into a new era of her life. And I think it really kind of like if there are any Kitty fans who are like, why is she going back to Kitty instead of Kate? I think this issue explains it well. Or if you prefer Kitty, then you're in luck because that's what we're gonna get going forward.
He's just gonna be happy. And also like it does portray her live in Chicago, I think, yeah.
Yeah, like you get to see her back in her hometown.
Yeah, it's very kind of like has this sitcom vibe. She's living with a roommate and she works and she does stuff. It kind of like has the normal life she's been looking.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And you know that it never lasts. But also like let's praise the artist because like Carmen Carnero, because the artwork and the color artist Nolan Woodard, it's just magnificent in this issue.
It is. They've done a great job. I will say that I got a printed copy of this issue, and it's kind of strange because on the print copy, Emma looks extremely pink. Like I don't know if that was intentional or just or how the ink's printed, but it's kind of strange. Just like not just like flesh tone pink, but like Miss Piggy pink or something.
I'd say that she's very pink in the end of the book too, and like I don't know.
Yeah. but other than that, like the colors are bright and the artwork is beautiful, and I highly recommend it. It might be in my top 3 of the From the Ashes books so far. I can't say for sure yet. I can't rank them.
You've convinced me to buy it. Also,
Yay!
with lots of other people talking about it, just like Blurred Without Fear. He said it was his favorite one out of From the Ashes. He was like, "This is the best beginning issue."
Like it was that good. I think that if I had to pick my top 3, it would probably be between this, NYX, and Uncanny X-Men.
Have you read the third X-Men?
Yeah.
Because to me, I wouldn't like. I thought it was like very mediocre. Not mediocre. It was good, but like it wasn't wow, before that. But issue number 3 pretty much delivered it. It brought it to the same level of Uncanny. And I love NYX, but it's not there yet. I'd say it's not there yet. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm not sure.
Well, I don't really think it's fair for X-Men to have 3 issues out and all the other books to have like 1 issue out or maybe 2. Like it's hard to compare them that way. But you know,
I mean, X-Men had
first,
like we got the third one 2 weeks after the second one. When I saw it was coming out, I was like, we just got one. What happened?
yeah, I think
Well,
some of
I
these are
think
going to be
that they knew
bi-weekly.
that. I think they knew that this is gonna be become the shit at issue 3,
Yeah.
so they had to release it as soon as possible. But really, really did deliver.
Yeah.
They set it up, and now they have the story. Now they have the character work, and there is reason to keep reading.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to go back to Joe, you said you read Ultimates.
Yep.
Polly, did you read that too?
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into that a bit more. So this issue kind of like sheds a light on this ultimate version of Doom, who we know is Reed Richards, but it's a specific version of Reed Richards that was twisted into Doom by the maker, who was also
Who's
Reed Richards
also Reed Richards.
from the original Ultimates world. So it's kind of a confusing twist. But if you've been following the story, hopefully you kind of get it.
If
What
you've
do you
been
guys think of this
following
issue?
Reed Richards, you pretty much know that he's messed up.
Yeah.
I can't
So
even what does he do? Like, why is he like that?
so hopefully this issue shined a bit of a light on that. We like I gotta say this issue does a really interesting thing where every page has a 4 panel grid where each panel represents a different point in time. So at the top you've got like the far past and young Reed Richards, and then in the second slot you have um, the first flight of the Fantastic Four going into space, and then what happens after that, and then you've got um, the Ultimates context where Doom is like trying to look at what
Wait.
happened, and
Yeah.
and he's trying to, I guess, change the past. It seems like
That's
and
his.
then
I think that was his negative zone we were getting
yeah,
that they talked about. Yeah.
that was really cool. And then the last panel features kind of like the present, I guess, where he's talking to Iron Lad and he's trying to do these experiments like you see on the cover on mice of trying to give them constant radiation to make them fantastic and not die. Like so what are your takeaways of this issue, guys?
Phil Nota draws the best Fantastic Four ever. That's my takeaway. Again,
Holly is not a
gonna-
fan of the Fantastic Four.
yeah, I couldn't see. I was like so torn between hating Reed Richards in general and loving the art.
Phil Noto
It
does do a
was so
great Fantastic
difficult.
Four. I have to agree with you there because like all of his artwork is very painterly, but with the Fantastic Four, he usually has like a retro aesthetic. And
Yeah.
I
And he
I
did
do enjoy that.
the amazing series of candid portraits of superheroes. It's so
Hmm.
great.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I actually appreciated a lot that they again redid the story of like the backstory and the story of how Reed and Sue met, and it's not creepy. It's
And
just
yet now the picture frame of him when he met Ben is creepy. I'm like, wait a minute, why
yeah.
is
This is
Ben so
weird.
old
Yeah, so
and
weird.
Reed a kid and they're like
Yeah.
sharing a bedroom, they're roommates in college? Like that's strange.
I guess you
Um,
can't just not make Fantastic Four not weird. I mean, you can make them not weird.
well,
Probably just impossible.
I gotta say, my biggest frustration with this issue and this Ultimate Verse in general, like this issue pointed out to me, I'm like, so the maker, he didn't just do one thing and it caused a whole butterfly effect. Their entire history is different. Like this Fantastic Four origin story is not the same as 616 up to a point, and then it diverged. It's more like it's just a wholly different multiverse or universe, and then the maker really tried to make it no superheroes. I'm gonna get rid of everything that makes them super. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
don't know if
Yeah.
it's that different. It kind of feels more like another retcon that we're supposed to like accept that it's that way in 6162, but I don't know. I haven't read
Yeah.
the
I
Fantastic
I
Four
take
up
it
to that
almost
point yet.
I take it almost as like because it sounds like they know that there's a Fantastic Four in some universe, right? Which is what the current 6160 Doom is trying to recreate. But within his universe, there never was a Fantastic Four. Like they never existed, um, with their powers at least. Um, so it seems like they know of the Fantastic Four somewhere that the Maker eliminated, right? And so he's trying to recreate that
No,
some way somehow.
he's watching it on
yeah,
screen, I think.
yeah, Doom and Iron Lad. At some point, I can't remember when they found out
Right.
what the history was supposed to be. So that's why they're trying to get all these
Mm-hmm.
heroes to kind of live up to
Yeah.
their potential.
Well, there's a
Um,
specific panel because I read it twice because I was like not
What?
confused, but I read through it and then I was like, I got to go back again and like make sure I didn't miss something. But like, there's a specific panel where you see the Maker intervene and what caused uh them missing the cosmic radiation basically, and then
yeah,
what goes and happens. And if you don't really notice it, you're just like, because there's no words on that panel. It's literally the same. I think it's the same panel as before on the previous page, except now the Maker is in it. Because it's Reed. Yeah, it's Reed doing calculations on a whiteboard, and then you flip the page, and now it's the Maker. But if you don't really pay attention, you don't notice it really. You're just like
that's a
you
good
just see it.
catch. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's very very Jonathan Hickman. Even though this is Denny's camp, like Jonathan Hickman loves writing about multiversal reads, and he introduced the whole idea of the Maker and all that stuff. So I think Denny's camp is doing a great job following up on everything Jonathan Hickman did. But that said, I don't like the Maker. I don't. I really want to see him get his ass kicked because I'm over it. Like I,
I mean,
that's
he's
just my
probably gonna
personal
get his
opinion.
ass kicked by another Reed, and I don't like another Reed either.
Right?
Can we just
Like so.
kick
Speaking
all
of
Reed's asses?
speaking of another Reed, like so, do you guys like this take on Doom where he is Reed, or is that like too weird? Like, what do you think?
I
I think
think
it's
I think it holds true almost because Reed is basically Doctor Doom, right? Just quote
I think
unquote
it's
not an
probably
evil
weird for
version.
Doom. For the real Doom, it
Yeah.
would be like,
Right.
ew.
Where
Yeah.
is Victor Von Doom in this
That is the
universe?
question.
Did you guys
But
know in the original Ultimates universe, his name was
He
Victor Van Dam and not
I did
Victor
not know
Von
that.
Doom?
and he was an actor.
It was very controversial. They're like Jean Claude Van Damme, Victor Van Damme. What's going on? Are they brothers?
I like how they I mean Reed is basically the polar opposite of Doom basically. They're the same person just with less of an ego
I
essentially.
wouldn't
And
say that. Wait, which one do you think is with less
so
of an
like
ego?
616 like Reed and Doom are basically the same person.
Yeah, but which one of them is with less of an ego?
Oh, well, it just depends on how you look at it, really.
Exactly. Because
But
Well,
like
I
Doom
do
is
like how they hold true to like the Doom-esque kind of character in this universe. But as I had mentioned in a recent post, like he's not as clearly he takes his time where 616 Doom is very like, let's just do it. Doesn't matter. Let's not really think it through all the time, basically. Or he doesn't do things to necessarily please himself, where like this is much more toned down and he's taking his time because of his past in this universe.
well, I gotta say this Doom does not seem as smart as 616 Doom because this Doom is struggling to get any of the experiments to work.
Well, it
Um,
seems like this Doom is also like he second guesses himself basically because the Maker pretty much tortured the hell out of them and was like,
Yeah.
everything you touch sucks. So doesn't matter whatever you do, it's gonna fail.
So from that perspective, I like how thematically he got his name of Doom, even though it was forced upon him. Like he's like everything you touch, you will fail. Like it'll Doom. Like I don't know, it made sense. But I want to share this picture, Paul. You said you like Phil Noto's Fantastic Four artwork. This is not from the issue, but I just saw it recently. I was like, oh wow, this is beautiful.
Yeah. Always like always so on point with Fantastic Four. I don't know. It's just like there is sometimes there is an artist and there is the perfect book for them to work on, and this is that case, I think.
I'm still waiting for
Yeah.
you to read Hickman's Fantastic Four, Polly.
I'm still waiting to read it. I'm trying to get through Simonson's run, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna just drop it because I can't deal with this anymore with this whole
Hickman's
school.
run was really good.
It was, but listen, have
Hopefully.
either of you read the Wade and Maringo run yet? Because like that one is my favorite.
I haven't read the Wade one. That was my next on the list because I was like so done. I wanted to finish Simonson, but it's so spacey and it's so like a lot of stuff is going on. I think negatives on. It had a really good first arc with like first introduction of the Superhero Registration Act, but then it all became weird again.
Yeah, I think that was one of the earlier superhero registration acts, right? Like
Yeah.
before Civil War and all that.
Which they argued it and it was put aside for the time being.
Yeah, they do that
It
all
was
the
like
times.
I think it was like around 85.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1985.
It's just like real world politics. Let's kick the can down the road and bring it back and make everybody's lives worse. But
let's make it worse and then try again.
But I do want to also mention a few more books here. I don't know. You guys probably don't read any Archie books, do you?
Yeah, no. I was gonna, but then like I feel I don't have time for everything.
No, I understand. Like it's crazy, but like I will say, just because we're talking about magic and witches, I think I gotta shout out Sabrina. She had an annual this week come out. I love my girl Sabrina. It's a lot like Scarlet Witch. She's just doing magic. She's I don't know what else to say about it, but
with a
if you're a
cat.
Sabrina fan, go
all I
pick it
can
up.
all I
I
can
remember
ever
that she has a
envision,
cat.
all I
She does
envision
have a
ever
cat.
is the TV show and the
Yeah.
cat and like how animatronic it looks, but at the same
Oh,
time,
this
like
is
that's
my
how cats
favorite.
are.
Yeah, but then you don't think like back in the day when it was on TV, I did not think that it looked animatronic. I didn't even
Right.
give a second thought to it.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it was real, but most of the time it was not. I do think that as a kid, I did kind of recognize some of the puppetry of it. But Nick McKay's voice was so like iconic for Salem.
Yep.
I loved that show. So yeah, like if you're a fan of Sabrina, check that out. Because Archie comics, they don't publish like Marvel comics. You don't get ongoings anymore. You just kind of get annuals and maybe some jumbo digests where they have like one new story and then a whole bunch of old stories. But that's kind of the Archie vibe, I think. All right. So I think that's about it. Paul, I know you and I watched The Deliverance.
Oh yeah.
This week. What do you think? Just brief
It
thoughts.
was not scary.
Okay. I really feel like everyone has like different scary tolerance levels. Like I hear so many mixed reviews.
I mean, after that, I kind of like thought that I need to watch more horror. And the same evening, I rewatched Shining and watched Doctor Sleep, which I don't know how it was like received by fans because I'm not one, obviously. But I kind of enjoyed those. Weren't scary, but pretty beautiful. Okay. Like the I think the visuals, the scary visuals, are more interesting than they actually trying to get scared by those movies.
Well, I just kind of bring it up because like spooky season is coming, and like most of these stories we talked about, Scarlet Witch, Sabrina, all these witches, they love to do exorcisms and, get rid of demons and stuff. So I feel like the Deliverance is kind of like, you know, maybe I'm reaching for like a similarity, but I do think it was like it made me think a lot about uh, you know, spiritualism and that kind of thing. So yeah, maybe they might also do some stuff with that on Agatha All Along. Like, um, one more thing I want to say, I want to, if anyone wants to discuss Agatha All Along, I'll probably be podcasting about it. I don't know, no plans yet, but I'm very excited for it. What's your guys' excitement level right now?
I'm excited for it. I'm just,
I'm
I'm a fan of
moderately
Marvel. I'm ready
excited.
for everything.
Yeah.
Ready for everything. It's just like
All right.
villains. People are like, no one asked for this. It's like we didn't ask for anything really, but I'll
We're
take it.
just grateful to have it.
Yeah, like Catherine Hahn is amazing. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen Joe Locke in anything, but everyone talks about how amazing of an actor he is. And I think the coolest part is there's no CGI really in this entire show. Like all the set is all real. There's no like nothing on the set has been digitally made. It's all physically done. And everyone's talking about like how great it was to like be on set and have like actually real things and not be in front of a green screen
Yeah, I
and
heard
deal
that.
with that.
So like, is it like 100% practical, or is it just like maybe like
The
90 or
set the
80%?
set is 100% practical. So
So cool.
there's nothing digitally done per the set. So anything that we're going to see minus like, you know, magic and auras and stuff like that is real.
I
Cool.
imagine
Like
there would be like a lot of smoke machines.
that would be so much fun, like a haunted house or something. Um,
Yeah.
all right, guys. Well, I don't want to take too much more of your time, so I want to give you guys a big thank you for joining me today on our comic book club, and thank you to everyone who's listening to this later on YouTube. Um, I'm 8 subs away from 50, so if anyone wants to hit like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Before we go, Polly, do you want to share your social media with us?
Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna have to like use it as my tag here. I don't know how to do that. So it's core_mixed on Threads, on Instagram, on Tumblr, and not actually anywhere else.
All right. And Joe.
I am Muscles in the Multiverse. It's very long, but it's all spelled the way that it should be spelled. On Threads, on Instagram, I don't really do much there, and on YouTube.
Awesome. Yeah. Definitely check out their social media. They've got other reviews and sneak peeks and all kind and deep dives into characters. So like I definitely recommend you guys check out my friends on their respective social medias. And you can also find me on Threads at DMVCBN. Again, we're here every Saturday. I mean, today is Friday, but generally, um, you know, it's usually a Saturday. So I think that's about it for today. Check us out next week. There's some big books coming out next week, guys. Avengers Assemble #1. Have you guys heard about that one?
Isn't that where Storm is supposed to be? I'm still waiting for the other Storm book, like
No,
the
no,
No, this is a
Avengers.
different. This is like
this is
as
with
it's a mini, right?
Ah,
it,
okay.
is it? I don't know
I
how
don't
long
know.
it's, but
I
it's
thought
going
it
to have
was a mini.
Monica. It's going to have a very MCU lineup. It's going to have Monica Rambeau. It's going to have Shang-Chi. It's going to have She-Hulk. It's going to have Hawkeye. Um,
I thought it was going to be a mini, but I could be wrong.
I have
I
no
don't think it's
idea.
gonna be an ongoing. It's usually like mini and something.
Yeah. West Coast Avengers is supposed to be ongoing, and that's supposed to start soon.
Okay. I don't know the date for that one. Yeah, I
No,
think yeah,
sorry,
I think
but
you're
yeah.
right. Yeah, this will be a 4 issue mini. Um, yeah, I'm kind of excited for that because I want to see what they're doing with these characters, and is it just like for MCU synergy, or is it actually going to be
Oh,
good?
it
Um,
kind of looks like an ongoing.
it looks like one, but I think there's only 4 issues planned. We've got Steve Orlando is the writer, and big art team there. Uh, Lionel Yu
That
cover.
looks good.
Like even you got Wonder Man in the back there. Like we gotta get ready
Yeah.
for his TV show that will come eventually.
Oh, his TV show.
Yeah,
I mean, I keep forgetting about Wonder Man.
yeah. Like no one cares
Kind of
about
like
Wonder Man.
Wanda.
Wanda did for a minute, and then she like I like Vision better.
Yeah.
But outside of that, next week I'll just go over the titles real quick, just so people know to tune in. Next week, we've got Ultimate Black Panther #8. We've
Yeah.
got Uncanny X-Men #2. We've got Wolverine #1,
Yeah.
and I might even read Amazing Spider-Man. We'll see. All
Oh,
right. Yeah. All right,
It's
guys.
a
Thank you
good,
so.
like a good, a really good list.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think there's some good stuff we're going to be looking forward to.
Yeah.
All right. So until then, everybody, Excelsior. Bye bye.